Hello, hi there. I'm Linda K. Gifford. I better get cracking here today because I have a 4 o'clock appointment to look at my new house and pick out the paint colors. Yay. I'm Linda K. Gifford. Again, I'm a sexual assault survivor. I'm a life coach. I work closely with people with complex PTSD. The C on the PTSD, the complex being um, when you've been in a situation where your abuse, your assault, your trauma is ongoing, and especially when it developed, as it did for myself and many of you, if you're watching my live stream or someone you care about or that you support in some capacity. Otherwise, we deal every day with compounding trauma from our childhood. Our brains did not develop in the same way that other people's did. And we're going to talk about that in our lessons this week on Tuesday and Thursday when we get deep into actual actionable lessons in how to uh, separate the part of yourself, how to realize what part of yourself is still tied up in your past and how it still affects you, and then release that in such a way that you'll discover new heights of success. As I've said before, from the boardroom to the bedroom, or any room you want to be in. Life gets better when you have an understanding of how you're affected by your past. And this week, we're going to be talking about the first 2 steps in my trigger management program, which is how to separate, how to realize the shame and guilt that you carry, the ways it manifests, and then separate it out of yourself. That's going to be Tuesday predominantly. There's a lot of crossover. Thursday's lesson is the next step, which is separating the past from the present. And this is so important. So I want to set those up today on Sunday school. But we're going to get, this is Sunday school. So instead of just lessons, this is my chance to throw down about society and what's going on, like in the real here and now world. Not evergreen content, as they say. So I've got people that when I say we're having a civil war, they're like, she's off her rocker or whatever, or the nice girl at the pool who's completely progressive, hangs out with all of the um, liberal, progressive people and others, but still claims to be a Republican because her family told her she was, and she just doesn't look into it any further. These people are all around us, and it's not just conservatives. There's a lot of progressive people I know that alarm me in their lack of knowledge. At least they're voting progressive. But what it comes down to really is what I talked about last week. Last week, those of you who have been here for a while, you know my acronym is SPADES. If you learn SPADES, you'll get through life and have a joyous, wonderful existence. SPADES, the shame is not yours. Separate the past from the present. A, ask for what you want. Don't just take what's given in life. D, don't wait to feel okay to be okay. Nobody's normal. Everybody's fine. You belong to a subgroup with me of people who have to examine what happened to us and move on. And I have cut people out of my program. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not the person to cry to. Um, when I hear your experiences, I'm not there to say, oh, you poor baby, you poor baby. Um, I love you and I care about you and I will send you all the love and healing energy I can. But I'm here for the people that want to see how it all fits together, how I can learn this technique and change a behavior that is bothering me. And those of us with CPTSD, people I work with, tend to have some issues with some sexual things. Oftentimes, a lot of what we talk about one on one gets into some, more specific sexual things because, of course, when you've been the victim of sexual assault, um, even some things that feel good get associated with shame and guilt. So when you start to feel good, the shame and the guilt come in, and then it transfers and it crosses over into other parts of your life outside of your sexual experience too. And one thing I find that we all have in common, and a lot of people that have never been through any kind of this kind of trauma still seem to have a hard time with, and I blame it on our society as a whole, and that's where we're going today and why I'm bringing it up. Just, we're so busy trying to make somebody else happy. The media, I mean, from the time I was a little girl, I knew I should be sexy even when I didn't know what that meant. I knew from the pictures, from the media, I knew also that I should be pure and save myself to be given, and I had progressive parents, but still, that's the language of society that we all grew up with. And, so I was saving myself for marriage. So then I was routinely, after years of grooming, raped as a child. So then I was ruined in my mind. And as I said last time we were talking, people like, oh, well, there's an exceptionary clause, I guess, for those of us who were raped where you're not ruined. But we know better because we've already been taught that that's so important. That somebody else's penis went in you before your husband's on your wedding night. And it's like, come on. I didn't raise my kids that way. Hopefully you're not raising your kids that way. That's not the whole subject of this today. I'm just saying we are in a war of education versus ignorance, and patriarchy versus, and I don't mean just white. That's another battle. White racists against the rest of us here. But on a global level, men of many cultures just take it for granted that they're women, and I use that language carefully. They're women because they are. They're possessed. In most of the world, women are possessed, bought, traded, sold, and it just makes me sick. It makes me sick. So no, I'm not a person who can just sit back and be like, oh, I'm glad it's better here. I'm still making 87 cents on the dollar of a man. I mean, legally, not legally, what's the word? On average. I run my own business and all, so I don't make beans. I keep a roof over my head barely is where I'm at. But I help women all over the world, and that means the world to me. But most women working a job that men and women do are making on average 13 cents less. And it was actually said to me, uh, it's only 13 cents. And I'm like, that's just about deserves an immediate backhand in my world. Push me. 13 cents? As I've said before, I can do a lot. Say on a $50,000 salary, that's $6,500 in a year. That's investment money. That's a boat. I don't know. It's whatever I goddamn well want it to be. Um, so no, there is a civil war, and although we're not, you know, meeting on a battlefield and shooting each other, brother to brother or whatever, we are battling for the soul of America, and it's not extreme to say that we are battling for the soul of America. And I grew up in a patriotic family. My dad started off in the Air Force. He was an MP. Um, when he died, and the Guard presented the flag on behalf of President Obama, who my dad adored and supported, of course. It was like, you can see I'm tearing up already. I'm very patriotic. I take my kids to the Veterans Parade every year, and I taught them to cross their heart every time that flag walks by, you know, and it goes by a lot in a Veterans Parade, a lot of heart crossing. So no, as tempting as it is to flee the country, if I can find somewhere in the world that's not on fire, because Greece was my first, an island in Greece, sounds okay. But really, I want to stay here, and I want to fix things. I've got kids here. They don't all want to flee the country. Therefore, no. not just for that reason, for every reason that is obvious. I do not give America to zealots, to mythology believers. It's fine to practice whatever religion you want. But as we talked about last week, learn to separate your religion, the cultural influences on your religion from your experience of God in your religion. Keep your experience of goodness and love and kindness and God and doing good in the world that you get from your religion, but learn enough about it to be able to separate out, oh, the part about me not inheriting as much or my dad giving me away or whatever, that's not actually in any text so much as invented by a patriarchy who added that crap into your religion. So you have to separate that out. You do. My hair is driving me absolutely insane. I had a Scottish, I had a dance. Okay, how do I, it was a photo shoot. It was a photo shoot, and we were doing our like heritage. So I'm kind of like kilted out here today. You'll see, only a little bit steampunk kilty. Um, totally off subject, but except in the sense that you do you. So the Civil War is on, and we are not going to let them have America. I'm not. I'm not. I don't. I'm okay with that. So let's stand together, and I want to start my double down. My double down is the people who get really upset with me about something I said. I listen and decide whether or not maybe I was wrong. So far, I'm rocking 100% that I'm right. Imagine that. Who would have thunk it? So, my double down. No, I will not respect your culture if your culture involves your family deciding who your child marries, male or female. I'm not going to just talk daughters anymore. Like in my live stream, don't trade your daughter for a cow, right? I don't accept that. I don't accept it for anyone in the world. And I'm not just happy to sit back and be like, oh, it's better here in America, at least, than over there. Sweat me. I I must do something. That's why I own feelgoodfairtrade.com. I founded it and work with other um, e-commerce providers like myself of fair trade, and we warehouse communally in the States so we can ship in 2 to 5 days, just like Amazon. And we buy from women and family and communities of artisans around the world, many of whom are giving women alternatives to sex work or actually employing victims who have been rescued, who are now survivors. Um, I founded the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund, and I want to put in here now, please support the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund with a subscription at sweetsurvivor.com, which is also this, my store, feelgoodfairtrade.com, where I am sponsoring Sweet Survivor until it does its own launch with merchandise and all on September 4th. So that's coming up right away, imminently. Um, Mostly all I really want to say today is that education is the key. You don't have to give up your religion. You just have to learn enough about it to understand how it is influenced by your culture to make good decisions about, like, if we're going to have a habitable planet or not, if you're going to take a vaccination to not die or kill somebody else or not. Um, Please bring common sense and reason in. And along those lines, I would add, I will add that the huge push to get kids into tech school right away, get a trade, learn a trade while you're in high school. You see all these commercials out right now. My child's fast tracking it, and they're going to come out of school and know a trade. It's like, okay, but here's the deal about 4-year college and why we need to go beyond community colleges and make universities all the way at least 4 years, but all the way through doctoral college should be provided, because the benefit that the taxpayer gets back is greater than we would expend to cover college for everyone. I mean, the fact of the matter is, Most people don't want to go to college and become doctors and lawyers and whatever that costs a lot of money, scientists. But the many who do don't end up getting to do so. So wouldn't it make sense to invest in our own people and our own population's education? And that includes learning about the world as a whole. And that's what I learned in college. I learned cultural geography. I mean, all of those requirements that have nothing to do with your major that now we scoff at. Why are you doing that? It has nothing to do with getting a job and making money in the real world. It's like, yeah, but the idea of an education goes beyond just your income. It's about your life. It's about learning about the whole world and other people and other religions and economics and just going in depth into a whole bunch of subjects, all of which cross in the real world. And you will utilize that knowledge. Um, I've got 170 credit hours. I should have a master's degree. I have a 3.9 in my major. I don't even have a degree because the degree was never important to me. The education was. And I use it all the time. Even though I run my own business, I'm writing my book, I do coaching, trigger management. Um, I use that 7-year education all the time. And I'm still paying for it, something I'm not really happy about. So, how about we make education a priority so that we don't have people who are great welders but also think the earth is flat and stick to it, or think that people like me look so damn good because we drink the blood of children. I mean, come on. But they do. And a huge number of people do, and it should frighten you. It should frighten you. When I hear other progressives talk about the crazies, like, like, oh, it couldn't happen again. It's like, are you kidding me? We just came out of 4 years of Trump, who's running again, right? We are less than a hairline, a hair's width away from being in a worse state than we were in before Biden got in office. And there's another double down. I am so saddened and upset that the obvious move of pulling out of Afghanistan was going to devastate 20 years of work towards women and children's education, women and girls' education and equality, and just boom, it's all gone. What did our soldiers die for? What did my friend's brother die for? I think that when you make that long of an investment in a country, you don't just say, okay, we're done. And I'm pretty upset with Biden. I can't just support, I support a progressive agenda, but this was bad all the way around from the time he said they were pulling out. And never supported Trump saying they were going to pull out. We have to. This is where I differ from some progressives. I believe that you need to carry a big stick. You do. The world is full of people who don't even think women deserve any rights whatsoever, where daddies tell their daughters what they're going to do with their vaginas and who's going to make babies with them, and they don't even question. We're in a world where women stand up for these men, where women like are mouthpieces for these men. Um, the world is such that we have to stay involved. I have a lot of bleeding heart liberal friends that, which is funny because a lot of people would refer to me, including this week, as a communist. A communist. It's like, I do not think you know what that word means. Um, but a lot of bleeding heart liberal friends think that, like, if we take all the guns away, everyone's going to be peaceful and sing kumbaya or something. I don't know. It's illogical and unreasonable. I long for that world, but it's not going to happen without being the guy with the biggest stick, telling everybody else they're going to sing goddamn kumbaya now. I'm sorry, but that's the way it works. If you can find a place where everybody's on board, and you don't have to string up some barbed wire to get them to sing Kumbaya, great. But that's not the world I live in. Yeah, I'm being figurative. I hope you understand what I mean. If we're going to intern anybody, why don't we intern the people who take every other vaccination but now have decided that this is in God's hands and won't vaccinate and continue to spread variants? I'm about to get a third dose of a vaccination because I will just keep having to do that. I'm going to, I don't, the vaccine, if you had a little education, um, and believe it or not, I actually was certified in medical coding several years back. I never used it, but I was certified in medical coding and did learn a lot. And this is so elegant. This RNA, just like it's just a half. You take the DNA strand, you just remove a little string. There are only 4 things that make up all of it, little enzymes, and you wrap it in a little envelope and you give it to somebody, and then they're like, "Ooh, I recognize that, and it's foreign, so now I will fight it." And boom, you have antibodies, and that's it. It's like there's really not anything that can go wrong. So I'm sorry that we don't have an educated population, because with an educated population, we'd have a lot more living relatives right now in America. That's just sad, you know. I got crap. Here's a double down too. I'm going to double down on my decision to go to Foo Fighters last week. Yeah, I did. Yeah, we had a private patio gifted to us, and I would have gone even if I had to stand in the middle of that crowd, because I do wear a mask everywhere I go. I did get my vaccination. I I care about the children who are not vaccinated yet, so I always mask up. Um, a medical grade mask when I'm anywhere in public. But I have now decided that I will go to adult venues and trust that the people who have young children who are not vaccinated are not there. Like I would not be there if I did, or if I was in contact with anybody else closely who did. Um, but yeah, a year and a half in, I'm doing my part. Do your part and talk to people. They need to do their part. So yeah, the crazies, the Civil War is, when you look at the number of dead due to this pandemic and you factor in much of it was inaction in the beginning and refusal to accept scientific reality now, then we actually have had more deaths, over 4 million deaths worldwide. We're going over world war proportions by far. What was it, like 400,000 that we lost? I like how we say lost, got killed, dead, deadified, bam, gone, dead. I'm tired of it. So, yes, I'm not a communist. Um, I think it's interesting that we have a population that does not understand what that word means. And that the same people calling me a communist, some of them are also spouting Nazi gear, and they think that's awesome, and they don't know what that means either. Or more frighteningly, maybe they do. Maybe they do know what that means. So the deal is how it ties into being a sexual assault survivor, and what we're going to learn and work on this week some more. We have all got disassociative disorder or dissociative disorder, depending on which word you like to use. I prefer disassociative. Um, the whole population does, the whole world does. We're so removed from just helping each other. We're afraid of each other. We're the most pious amongst us. Are like, oh, bless their hearts. I'm so glad it's not me and mine. I'll pray for them. It's like, okay, action, action. We need action. So that's the other double down I wanted to throw in before I get off here, because I'm going to go see my new house at 4, and I have to drive there, and it's 3:42. The other double down is, yeah, purity balls are gross. Telling your daughter that, like, making your daughter pledge her virginity to who, like, to the day that you decide that she can give it to somebody she's saving her virginity. That's such a special, special thing. You're so awesome because a penis has never been in your vagina. Guess what? They're condemning their children to marrying someone without knowing if they can be sexually satisfied. And then I'm called a whore because I want to be sexually satisfied, and I am sexually satisfied. And I'll be goddamn if I'm not going to be sexually satisfied. And that is something I teach because it's so, so prevalent in the sexual assault survivors that I talk to. Either they go to the I want to have sex all the time, or I don't want it at all, or a mixture of, and that's me, a mixture of I really like it, but then I used to have a problem. And so I'm saying, being honest, because this is like, it seems universal with the people I talk to and work with. Foreplay. You know that the things that led up to your abuse involved touching and all. You also know that the sex feels good. So getting from here to there is the problem. So we talk about how to get from here to there. And this week we're going to work on that. So disassociation, while it is, as I just said, a societal issue, we're going to bring it down because disassociation is our superpower. We did it to survive. It's not a bad thing. Once you get a handle on it and realize how you did it, why you did it, and then apply it to your own use and learn to disassociate from negativity and to disassociate from those who are not up to your standards, to disassociate from having expectations from anybody, and to disassociate from giving a goddamn what anybody thinks about you. This is your life, and you will attract like people if you just be yourself. And that is the hardest thing to do for sexual assault survivors. Um, Again, because the language of society has taught us that we're ruined, and that's that sucks. And it's not true. It's not true. So let's talk a whole lot more about that on Tuesday, where we're going to dig into shame and guilt, where it hides, even if you don't know it, and how to shed it with a painful but relatively easy exercise. Easy in the sense, easy to do, painful in the sense that it will bring tears out, but that's okay because stuffing, we stuff all this stuff back inside and never get over it. Every time a memory starts to rear its ugly head, we gulp it down, we swallow it down, we beat it down. That is where you all go wrong. That's where I went wrong for 3 marriages. You have to examine what happened to you, not dwell on it though. We're going to bring it out. We're going to see it, and we're not going to go all PTSD crazy into fits of drunkenness or druggedness or whatever you do, because that's very typical. And I used to do that too. We're not going to black out. We're not going to freak out. We're not going to cry. We're going to let it wash over us, and we're going to see it, compartmentalize it, and file it away once and for all to a place you can access if you want to, but that you don't have to wear like it's fucking pacemaker. Like it's a freaking pacemaker. I really need to start editing these things because Facebook or YouTube won't ever boost my live streams anymore because I have a potty mouth. So, um, that's what we're going to do this week. We're going to do that exercise and we're going to do it all the way through. That was just a little overview of how it can help you. Looking forward to it. How to get from trigger to happy will be out on September 4th. The subscription is already up, and anybody who subscribes will automatically get how to get from trigger to happy too, as a like a pocket guide. The book Self Talk: My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Assault is whoosh. I keep saying it's near the end, and it is, but the end is a big place. It's a big place, it turns out. So, I will talk to you guys on Tuesday. Until then, Don't wait to feel okay to be okay. Follow my D in spades. Get out there and do what you want to do. Because if you're busy helping others and educating and advocating and learning and just, I don't know, jumping off cliffs or swimming, whatever you want to do, you don't have time to care what anybody else thinks about you. And if you care what anybody else thinks about you, stop. It's your life. Your life. All you need to care about is what you think about them. More on Tuesday. Linda K. Gifford, sexual assault survivor and thriver, signing off.